Hello, everybody. It is Nights with Kraven, and we have Skunk Manhattan. Woohoo! How
Hello.
are you doing?
Thanks for having me.
All right, Skunk. So we are here today for a special edition of Late Nights with Kraven. Normally, I do this on Monday, but it is a Tuesday for first, and what better day to do a special edition than today, the day after Halloween.
Right.
So, how was your Halloween, by the way? Did you do anything exciting?
Well, I've been on tour for 2 months with the Invincible Czars, and we just rolled back into Austin yesterday and played a double at the Alamo Draft House on South Lamar. I don't know if you know about that band. We play a live. We accompany a old silent films with original music. So, and it's the centennial anniversary of the film Nosferatu. So we've been touring the whole country, playing theaters and art houses and stuff, doing that. And we finished kind of. We still have a few gigs actually left, but we played last night. Every year well, not during the pandemic, but every year traditionally the band plays Halloween to finish off the tour at the Draft House here in Austin, because that's where it started years back with the original Alamo Draft House when it was the Ritz location, or maybe one before that even. So yeah, we ended up doing a double show at 6:30 to 9:30. It was great, and we're playing Austin Film Society tomorrow. I think at like 7, and then we have like one more show in Corpus, and then that beast of a tour, which was like over 50 dates, is done.
Wow, yeah,
So
that was
that
a
was my
huge
Halloween.
tour.
Yeah,
Hey,
it was
what a
a
way to do
huge.
it.
It was a beast, but really, really successful, really awesome. We played several sold out shows. And one cool thing about that gig is obviously last night was Halloween, but for weeks coming, especially this week and this last weekend and everything, lots of people are dressed up. So, like, there were tons of people dressed up last night. We were in Dallas the night before that. I don't even know what day it is anymore. Sunday, we were in Dallas. The night before that, I think Tulsa. And there's a lot of people in costumes and some amazing costumes. So I kind of spent Halloween in a lot of different places with different people. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, that I love seeing all the crazy elaborate costumes that people do. I see the skill level for some of these costumes that they make.
It's
And
amazing.
then and then
Yeah, they
like
really go all in. Yeah.
go crazy with it. And then like I remember it was a few years back before COVID and the pandemic. I was on 6th Street, probably one of the craziest times I'd ever been on 6th Street. You couldn't even walk. It was like pack to pack, just like bodies, right? Everywhere. And there was a
Oh yeah.
guy, he literally looked like the treants from Lord of the Rings. Like he's just tall, like on stilts, and he looked like a tree. Like it wasn't, oh, that's a guy dressed
Wow.
as a tree. Like he literally looked like a tree, just like
Yeah.
standing there in the
Yeah.
middle of 6th Street.
It's amazing. I mean, it's amazing the time I've seen. And today, just getting on Facebook, like I saw, like I was just scrolling this morning, it's like all kinds of cool. Everyone posting their pictures from last night and the parties and this and that. Yeah, I remember back in the day dressing up and doing all that. Not that I wouldn't again. I mean, I suit up for my gigs, so to speak. But like, I don't know, it's a lot of work, but props to the people that make the costumes and put the time in. I've done it some in the past. My biggest was probably, oh my gosh, it was really early on when I moved to Austin. We're over 15 years ago. I actually went downtown. I almost want no part of that anymore. But back in my party days of going and mingling and the gigantic crowds and chaos of 6th Street or what have you, like I did go one year in drag, and it was pretty funny and fun. Like I went all out. A friend of mine did the eyelashes. I had a skirt. I was Candace. I had a wig. I wore the heels, the fishnets, the whole nine, but with my big beard and goatee. And I yeah, it was pretty funny because a few times I've always been told I have nice legs, and a few times I heard a couple of like, "Oh, that's what I'm talking about," and then I turn around and the guy's like, "Oh my god!" So yeah. So if I ever wanted to be a drag queen, I guess I could.
You may have missed your calling.
But yeah, yeah. Oh darn. But anyway, that's what. Here's what I have my commentary on that, whether it's a woman or a guy doing drag. I mean, props to anybody who wants to put that kind of effort in, because that ain't me. That was a lot of work. I could barely like just even being on tour or otherwise, I'm like, oh, I got to brush my teeth. Like, that's a chore. I guess I'm just a lazy, gross dude, but like, fucking eyeliner and lipstick and heels and all these crazy ass things. I'm like, all right, well, props to you for enduring. Like the things women will do, right? Just, they'll suffer just to look good.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Oh
lucky to have
yeah.
a pair of sneakers that's not falling apart. That's my dress up, you know.
Yeah, my stage attire, it's like fun. It was funny. One of my friends joked around once about, oh, I'd love to see what's underneath your corsets. I'm like, get 6 layers of like most
Right,
shit ever. Like trying to pee,
right.
it's like you hold
Oh my
it
god.
until you're about to piss yourself because it's like 6 layers of like just shit everywhere. You know, it's like I wear tights because it helps keep the fishnets from like snagging, and then
Mm.
I don't wear like my boots without socks. That's gross, right? So
Like,
I,
how long does it take you to like assemble your dress? You know, your
it's
stage
like,
attire.
well, it's like I have to wear a bodysuit under the corsets. You can't wash them. They're like
Mm.
leather and all these different things. So you can't dry clean them. You can't wash them. You just kind of give them a sponge bath now and spill things on them. And you just hang them, basically air them out. So I wear a bodysuit to kind of put that layer between like the sweat sits so it doesn't start to like smell. And then
Mm.
and then I have like usually a layer of tights because I don't want to wear my boots without socks. And then I put my fishnets over that. And then I'll usually, of course, I got my underwear, right? So it's got underwear and then tights and then the fishnets. And then I usually have like some little, like either like a swimsuit bottom or like little like spandex shorts that I wear. Cause you know, I always wear skirts on stage. And I don't want to be like flashing my hoo ha to,
Right,
to unsuspecting public because stages are here, people are down there, you know. So, I mean, there
right,
are
right.
children sometimes. So I'm trying to like not do that. So yeah, between that, I've got like 4 to 5 layers of shit to like pull off before I can pee.
Mm. So you really have to be strategic when you're going to perform. You gotta. I've noticed
Yeah.
that too. Like, well, on this tour, like we play for it's an hour and a half straight of playing to the film. There's really no break, and you're kind of multitasking and got to kind of be on it the whole time. And then right after that, it's like, okay, sell merch, you know. And so there's a good 2 hours definitely that you do not have a chance for a bathroom break. So I've really gotten good at going like, all right, I need to gauge how much water or alcohol I'm having or have had, and do I need to try to pee real quick before we do this kind of thing. I only had
Yep.
one show where I was like, oh dear God, like, 20 minutes into the movie, I was just like, oh shit, and like wiggling around the whole time. But thankfully that was, thankfully I can still
Yeah.
go for a reasonable
I had
amount of
like
time without having to urinate.
yeah, I had like a crazy almost accident one time. It was definitely interesting. The first bodysuit or one of the bodysuits I had gotten like a suit to wear under my corset, and I didn't check it before I put it on, right? And they normally have like snaps or like little buttons, under your crotch, so you can just unsnap and pee. I
Mm.
didn't have that. So I had to, and it was on top of the so I had all the like the and tights, and then I had bodysuit. So I had to like pull the tights down this way and hold them, and then pull the bodysuit over and like pee around it without peeing on my hands.
Women are very talented at this, especially drunk women who, just pop squats in the streets and shit. And I'm always amazed how they don't pee all over their shoes, or maybe they do. I don't know, but
They probably do.
probably
But yeah,
do.
I had it because I couldn't. The corset was over top of the body, so I basically would have had to take off my entire outfit, which is sometimes a 2-person just to get into. Usually, Johnny or somebody me spin, right? It's like they're tying or they're
So you have your
doing things.
bandmates have to help you assemble your bodysuit, your Iron Man bodysuit
Yeah,
before you
it's like
perform.
that's like a part of the job description. It's like, hey, do you have any issues like, tying corsets? Because that's like your that's like your thing now. Is either
Must
helping me
have
get in
pro
or out.
gear, availability, good attitude, be able to help me put on my wardrobe, et cetera, et cetera.
Help me get in and out of it. Just be a text away.
Yeah, I mean,
if Kraevin has a mishap in the bathroom, you may
like
have to come rescue me.
Yeah, band's like a family. You know what I mean? I mean, sometimes you gotta help your, help your if bandmates go to the bathroom.
I actually had to help her merge one time because she did something similar, and I actually had to like her pieces over so she could pee around them. Because so yeah,
I've had I've had to cinch up a dress or two and try shove a shoe on a foot. I know how it is, cramming into all these fancy dresses, and I did it one time, and I was like, God bless you. That's it's a lot of effort.
Yeah,
but damn, I was a sexy bitch. Let me tell you.
I want to see photos of this. Like, they better be in my DMs after this live stream.
I'll have to dig that out for you. Yeah, it's out there somewhere.
Yes, please. I'm gonna make a flyer out of it and be like, "See Skunk at Skunk Fest," and it's.
Oh my God, I did. I actually. You just made me remember when the pandemic happened and we were all just sitting at home and everything was kind of, couldn't even work for a few weeks. I just started doing all kinds of. I was doing like recorded the soundtrack before the Nosferatu update we just toured on of another film that we're going to do next year with the Invincible Czars. I did an acoustic EP with Rune Scarred, and I was working on a good Rogering stuff too. But I also just did some one-offs like of some songs of me. I started I've got so many aliases at this point, it's ridiculous. I did a MC Fart Squirrel rap song. I did, but one of the things I did was just a stupid thing. I improvised one time playing on my piano and just rambling. And I just, for some ridiculous reason, just like made a video out of it and then posted it. But the photo that it was like a joke, sort of making fun of pop stars and like, I don't know what it was, but all I know is I used that photo. I called myself, it was called like Riley Virus or something. Like it was, yeah. So, but that photo, I put it out there on Facebook. It's there somewhere. Yeah. Anyway, suffice to say, I'm working on refining my time management and being a little more choosy about my endeavors and things I spend time on. Although at that point in time, none of us were doing shit. So
right,
let's just farting around and Premiere, I think. But yeah. So I mean, that was my Halloween, and it just got off that tour. After a couple more shows, I'm putting all my energy into promoting Skunk Fest, for which I've been trying to coordinate the best I can from the road, which is I've learned not easy at all. And but now that I'm back in Austin, like that's my hustle for the next 10 days or whatever. We're getting super close, and then a good Rogering, which doesn't play, we've played a handful of shows, but we're gonna play that show. And yeah, I mean, there's I don't know if you've seen all the flyer and everything for that. It's got a pretty stellar roster.
Yep. I definitely saw it. It was awesome. It looks like a really fun lineup. So
yeah, I went there's some local artists obviously on there, but I went more. I wanted to bring in some nationals, and I've been wanting to do this, and kind of decided to go a little away from the metal, try a different venue. So it's at the Rail House in Kyle this year instead of Come and Take It Live. And I don't know if you know who Jared James Mills is, but he's going to be the headliner. Just a sick blues rock guitar player. He's toured with like Black Label Society, and
oh, nice.
I saw him at the Viper Room. Yeah, when we were out at NAMM this year, I saw him at the Viper Room, and he had Joe Bonamassa jump up on stage. I mean, he was just like staying with Joe Bonamassa when he was in LA. And yeah, it's like, that's cool. And she's like, oh yeah, I'll come jam with you at the Viper Room. Never played this little stage. And that was my first time ever there. Have you played LA? Have you been out there?
I've played LA, not with Edge of Destiny. We're actually, spoiler alert for everybody watching, we're actually going to be out there next year.
Cool.
We have a tour plan we'll be announcing here in the next month or so. But no, I haven't with this band, but I've played with my prior projects in LA, and it's a whole other animal playing LA, that's for sure.
Yeah, it really is. And I had been to the Whiskey and some of those other places, but I had never been to the Viper Room. And word has it they are going to close. Maybe they have, maybe they haven't. I don't know. Hopefully they don't. It's such an iconic, venue. So I hope it stays around, like Saxon Pub and some of those type places. Broken Spoke and those places here that have survived. Thank goodness. It sucks when these sort of legendary venues go under. But yeah, so I was happy to get there. And I'd seen him before I met him. He's a cool dude, great player. So kind of made that connection, followed up on that connection. He was supposed to headline in 2020, actually. And the whole pandemic killed everything. And so that 2020 never happened. We had a 2018, 2019 at Come and Take It Live. And then 2020 never happened. And then last year was just kind of a mess of me trying to put some things together. And it was crazy, actually. We did one in San Antonio. We did two in Austin at Come and Take It Live. We did 2 days. Edge of Destiny played one of those, right? And
yeah.
But it was still a weird time. And after doing this tour, we just weren't sure what to expect. But I really feel like, and maybe you've experienced this too, hopefully this year, because I know you guys have done some touring. It seems like things are a little more back to normal. People are starting to come out more, feel a little more comfortable. It seems like the crowds are better. People are hungry. So I'm hoping, from what I'm seeing, it seems like we're getting back to normal. 2021 was still kind of very wishy-washy and uncertain, and it doesn't feel like that now. So so I went all in on this. I got Jared James Nichols, Chris Duarte group, and Chris Duarte is a guy that I think he might have been the first guy to ever sign not technically my first guitar, but what I'll call my first long guitar that I've since retired, where I ended up starting to take it and get it signed by a bunch of people. And way back, I saw him in like the late 90s. I saw him open for Joe Satriani, and I was like, holy shit, who's this dude? And then I saw him again in a smaller club in, the Stafford in College Station, Bryan College Station, which is actually under great management now. He played there, that great place way back. It's been on and off for years and years, and it seems like it's really great now. I think that's where I'd seen him, along with guys like Ian Moore, some of those bigger 90s Austin names. But I always has been a fan of his, and he was all super cool and gracious, and so super stoked to get him on board. I just met this dude earlier this year, Stoney Curtis, out in Las Vegas. All these guys are just sick guitar players, blues rock kind of guitar players. It's really great. So I got him coming in. Jelly Ellington, who's from Austin.
Yeah, sounds familiar. I think I've seen him before.
Yeah, Jelly's great. He plays that blue Les Paul, and he plays with the Zeppelin tribute band that has Josh from Blackheart Saints.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so they play together too. A band called Ethos of Isba is coming in from. This is another guy I met at a NAMM show at the Gibson thing. I think I saw you that year when I played there with Old Los Buffaloes, right? And so I think that I had met Jared James Nichols before, but I think we talked a bit at that. And same with this dude Carter Wilkinson, which is bringing his band down from Louisiana, Ethos of Isba. Finite Fidelity, those guys. That's one of my favorites. Like, I love Finite. I booked them like on my bill so many times because I'm just such a fan. And every time I see them, I'm like, God damn, they're so good. Like, their tones are so good. I just love that band. And Scott, I just saw, speaking of Halloween, a picture of him and his, I don't think they're married. I think maybe they're engaged, his fiance, but they were swapped. She was dressed as Han Solo and he was dressed as Princess Leia. Hilarious. Yeah. So I love Scott. He's a fun guy. We always have fun with them. They're on there. One of my really good friends, Bobby Bookout, who I have subbed and played with in the past. My brother long ago played bass with him for a while. He always has a stellar band. They're playing. Do you know Caravan Thorn? Carrie Stevenson or Stevens? God, I blew her name on my podcast, and here I am.
Oh, yeah, Seventh Legend singer, right?
Yes. Yeah. Carrie Stevens, right? Yeah, she's awesome. Yeah. I love exactly. So that Seventh Legend, but also Caravan Thorn, which is like, I don't even know how to describe, sort of a barrel house, old school kind of swingy jazzy sort of vibe, right? And they've got like
Yeah.
trombone and trumpet and keyboard, and so they're on there. Darren Lane is another guy I met here in town who's just a sick guitarist. He's doing a class. I think he's been doing a solo classical. I'm also featuring a student of mine named Ethan Smith, who I've had for years, who got up and played Master of Puppets with us a few years ago. And this year
I
he's going
saw
to do,
that. Yeah.
yeah. So this year I'm going to feature him, and he's playing classical. He's going to play a couple of classical guitar pieces. He's a beast at classical guitar. Susanna
What?
Lee. Yeah. Susanna Lee and Natalie Price are two people I met from the songwriting group I'm in who were just like awesome, amazing songwriters. And so they're on. And a longtime friend of mine who actually used to play with Kraevin Thorn, and he has even played a gig with the good Roger and this dude, Tyler Olpers, is kicking everything off. But yeah, you know me, I go big. So it's an all day, doors at noon until fucking close, all day long at the Rail House out in Kyle. Massive event, with all these bands and a big blues jam at the end of the night. So I hope that, anybody in town or that whole central Texas area. A cool thing about that too is I thought, okay, people can come from Austin. It's right down the road from San Marcos. It's not that far from San Antonio, Bastrop, all these areas. You got 30, 45 minutes, hour tops drive, to this sort of centralized thing. Big outdoor area, indoor, all that. Shout out to the sponsors, which have been super cool. The school I teach at, Velocity Music Academy, Cairo Media, which is Kaylee Rose. You probably know. You've worked with Kaylee, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, Kaylee's done some graphics and stuff. She designed the flyer, and she'll obviously be doing some photography, and we'll have a few other photographers there, I'm sure. Ernie Ball has been awesome. Five Iron Woodworks out of Houston. They're actually building us an acoustic stage. So they'll be rolling down with so we're going to have a second stage, the courtesy of Five Iron Woodworks. Of course, I'm going to plug my podcast, Eclectic Soundtracks Podcast. And I'm going to plug a couple other companies. As you know, I have Custom Tragan guitars, Godan guitars, and actually Black Star. I think Black Star is going to provide us some some backline. I've been with Black Star for a little while now. And gosh, who else was I about to say? Oh, not related to the festival, but Roland hooked up the Invincible Czars with a killer keyboard for the tour. So props to Roland too.
Ooh, I am jealous. I have had one of their keyboards for a while, but I haven't. I just spend $3 grand.
I've got so many keyboards now. I have a Casio that I've had forever. And I love it. It's actually a really great keyboard. I toured with the damn thing with no case and everything, and it's been a workhorse. But it's all old and beaten up, and the keys clink, and it's kind of been retired a bit. I've got a Yamaha that I love, and I got a Kurzweil a few years ago that I absolutely love, and I used it for the last run of shows. But it's a little temperamental. It's old school. It was made in 1990, and if something shits out on it, it's not going to be as easy to replace. So we were like wanting to make sure we had something a little more updated. And I don't know if you've done the airport gigs. Have you ever played at the airport here?
Mm-mm.
So that's a really cool gig. I've done several of those. The Czars are doing that, and on whatever 2 days from now, or three on the 4th or something, Friday. But yeah, it's a really cool gig. I've done it several times just acoustically, where I'll do guitar and or piano, and I kind of switch back and forth and just sing and that kind of stuff. And yeah, the keyboard they have there is, well, they have a few different ones. All their gear is fantastic, and they've got a Roland RD2000, which is the shit. And so that's what we got hooked up with. Yeah, it's awesome. Love it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Love me some Rolands.
Like, yeah. I forgot too. Like I don't think we ever even jammed, but I remember one of the first times I met you, or way back, I think we were talking, and you're like, oh yeah, you play keyboard. And I think we talked a little bit about that at one point.
Yes, we were like nerding out over each other on keyboard, because it's like such a rare thing now. Like, it's like we've got like your little nerd circle, but everybody, which you also play excellent guitar, which just blows my mind. I never acquired that skill, and I'm always like, I wish I could play guitar, but I just never sat down and learned. But yeah, for me, it's always been keyboard, and I write everything on piano, which makes it tricky for guitarists.
Yeah.
To translate sometimes, but Chris, because he at least piano, he can play it. And then he also, is an incredible guitarist. So whenever we write songs, it's easier for him to understand where I'm going with it, because
It's
It's
such a
like
central instrument.
you play the song on piano, and it's like piano and vocal, and you hand it to them, and they're like, what do I do with it? You know?
Yeah, like guitarists are a lot of guitarists are guilty of like I just play guitar and I feel and good for you. You play by ear and all that. That's great,
Yeah,
but I think as a pianist, and I'm not saying this about, I mean, obviously many guitar players are very competent musicians and
yeah,
understand music theory and reading and blah, blah, blah. And you don't have to be any of that. And you can still be a great songwriter or performer, et cetera, right? But like, I think that a lot of times a lot of times like with a piano, you're sort of forced. There's no way around like visually seeing these notes make up this chord and this is this scale and this
yeah,
is why. So as a teacher for many years now, the music teacher, like I'm always referring to piano. I have piano students, I have guitar students, you know, but like some other instruments, but mainly those. But I'm always referring back to a piano. It's like, look, you need to understand that you don't have to even play this thing, but if you know the notes, you understand chord construction, your basic scales, like basic things which are very easy to see visually on a piano, it's going to actually make learning any other instrument easier, right? And
yeah,
that was an experience for me. I started guitar and piano at the same time, and for me, and I had played a little piano before, I guess, but when I was like learning guitar and like super into metal and learning all these scales and doing all this stuff, and then I would like have my guitar handbook, and I'd be looking, it's like all these dots all over the neck. I'm going like, I kind of get what this is saying, but it just looks like a fucking mess. But then I could sit down at the piano and I had like a visual representation of those notes, and I go, oh, now I understand the theory. I understand what that is now. It just looks weird. It's just different on the guitar. So really, it's
yeah,
like if you understand the music, I think that's why guys with an instrument, you can translate it to all these different instruments. Like if you play one stringed instrument, you can kind of like understand just about any stringed instrument. Like there's gonna be some different technique and the layout's gonna be different, but you're gonna be like, oh right, so this one's tuned this way, so that means this is this note and that's that note. That would mean this is this chord and that's that chord, and you can kind of figure it out if that makes sense.
yeah. That totally makes sense. And that's funny that you said that because, yeah, like, especially with piano, like the visual representation of the music. Like, I remember one time I was trying to communicate to Chris because he was saying, oh, you're changing keys when you do this with the vocals. Write everything like vocally first. It's
Right.
usually I'm like singing in the shower and then I'll be like, okay. And then I come to my piano and I'm like singing and I'm like, okay, playing. And I'm like sitting there and I'm like, I don't know guitar, right? I just know like the chords piano. And so he's like, oh, you're changing key when you do this with your vocal. I'm like, no, I'm still in the same key. And he's like, yeah, but you're playing this. I'm like, it's the chord. It's just instead of playing this on the bottom of the chord, you're playing it on the top and you're doing I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, you're doing like this instead of like this. And he's like, oh, I get it.
I'm playing an inversion.
I'm playing an inverted chord. It's the same
Right.
chord, just instead of the
That's
bottom
the
note,
thing.
the
Like
bottom of the top.
on piano, I feel like I always tell guitar students, I feel like it's like piano. I think it's like, not to say it's like easy or anything, but like
Yeah,
in a lot of ways, like from an understanding the concept, I think it is, because it's like on the piano, I'm like, here's your face value. This is what's happening, and we invert it this way. You see that? Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. Whereas on guitar, it's like, wait, what the fuck? It's like there's this shape and that. No, I don't have it. So it's kind of like you almost, for me at least, I'm like, if you can understand this conceptually first, then you can take it and put it on guitar, and then all this weirdo shapes and crazy alien things can actually make sense. And then in the long term, I think once you get past the technical aspects of playing, right, your chords and bar chords and all that on guitar, it actually becomes in some ways easier, because guitar and stringed instruments in general are set up, they're pattern based, right? So once you learn
yeah,
a shape, then you just take that whole shape and you're like, oh, now I know 12 chords. Now I always say it's exponential, right? Whereas piano, you physically, like, literally have to know like the right white keys and black keys, like this note, which I think is great because then it forces you to know all the notes of all your chords, if that, right?
right.
But on guitar, you don't necessarily have to be able to do that. You just have to be able to go like, okay, I know this shape makes this chord, and if I want to do this, now I just go move it up. Now I'm playing this chord. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
so to me, like once you get past the technical hurdles of the guitar, and you actually understand how it's put together, how the instrument is laid out, and you know some basic music theory, I think you could actually go a long way with it in a relatively short time. It just requires, I think, a sort of methodical way of like And so when I'm teaching, I try to present it that way and say like, someone's, oh, I don't know that chord. You actually do know that chord. It's just not memorized. But if you think about it logically, you can figure out that chord. Oh, cool. That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not. This isn't a music theory podcast, so I guess
It's
I
totally
can
whatever you want
can
it to
easily
be.
go down that rabbit hole and nerd out on that. I always forget it. It's interesting because I'll get like, just being on this like kind of great but grueling tour, and and just busy with Skunk Fest and all this. It's like sometimes, and unfortunately, it was really hard. I was trying to do lessons and everything from the road, but there was so many issues with like spotty Wi-Fi and dropping out and you're in a van all the time, right? This. It's just like it's really hard. I found it really hard to be productive in some other aspects. And then at the end of the day and after your show, you're fucking tired. You just want to go to the hotel and sleep. So, but I've always found a lot of times with me, it's really interesting. I'll get, if I'm sort of like exhausted from the business end of music and just all the work that goes, all the behind the scenes work, right? Like performing the song, that's the easy stuff, right? I mean, yeah, you got to rehearse and you're writing, but I think at the end of the day, like maybe you'll agree with this. Like once you get to a place where you're proficient at your instrument and you've got some experience, maybe you learn to write songs and this and that. When I'm in the studio, I am on and all fire. Someone just firing, like that's my element. Or when I'm on stage, but all the behind the scenes prep that gets to those places, that's the work. And then there's the business and the marketing. So that's the exhausting behind the scenes work that I guess, most people don't see. But for me, what's interesting is the lessons have always kind of given me a nice balance of that, where it gives me that opportunity, even if I'm like, oh, I'm tired and I don't want to do anything. Usually when I get with a student, as you can see, and I start talking about music, I kind of get re-excited about music itself. So I think it always kind of it's good for me, and I like that. I think with anything, they have a reciprocal relationship. I get inspiration from students just like hopefully they get from me, and I think, and that's why I really try to feature students and feature I don't think I mentioned, I had them play the last Skunk Fest, I think it was 2019 actually, my adult class from what was Lone Star School of Music, and now this location is Velocity Music Academy. But yeah, just going up there, and that's a chance I get to with those guys kind of be a band leader and play drums, and that's fun because it's something different, but it's just like I always sort of get this energy from that aspect of it, which is kind of cool,
Yeah.
Kind of takes me back to that just place of like, oh yeah, this is like music is fun and exciting, and it's like I enjoy the idea of communicating a language with someone and seeing them grow and learn it, and it also inspires me, and I learn from them too.
Yeah, especially because like you said, when it gets to the point where like you and I are at, it's like probably I'd say good 80%, even 85% of what we do is not having anything to do with being in the studio or on stage. And that's like where the fire is.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like where the passion
sucks.
is. But It's like when you're producing these music festivals, and then like I have a booking management company on the side. So it's like I'm doing all this business stuff, marketing my band, marketing other bands, booking shows, and you're doing Skunk Fest. And it's like, you spend so much time on social media and talking to promoters and talking to venues and ordering shirts and doing all these different things that, yeah, it has to do with music. But honestly, you could be running any company, any corporation, same concept. I think you hit your mute button. You're muted, Skunk. Can I unmute you? Pardon, we have problems. I've got to text him. There you are. I hear something. You're back.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me? Yes. Yay! Wait.
You can hear me, but I can't hear you.
That's weird.
We were so like enthralled in our conversation too. I'm so annoyed.
I
know. Damn you, technology. This has been my whole tour. Just dealing with this shit. It's driving me nuts. Fuck you, technology. I mean, you're great and all, but you're also a bastard. This is what everything turns into with me, just like a grumpy old man getting mad at technology. As I talk to myself because I fucking can't hear you. Did you bump some shit? I'm good. I don't think I'm muted.
No, you're not muted. I mean,
you can finish your story and I'll just nod and pretend I can hear you and your listeners can hear what the fuck you were saying. Son of a bitch.
Hold on. After these
why did we just lose sound? This makes no sense.
Hold on. I'm going to check and see if it is streaming on Facebook, if we can still hear sound. Let me go watch myself. Hold on. I'm going to check and see if it is sound. Okay. Nope. I can hear me. I can hear me on Facebook. So it is your audio. I'm texting Skunk since poor guy can't hear me. Well, damn. He is checking to see if we can get his audio.
Okay, hang on. I am connected and nothing is muted on my end.
Hello, hello.
My headphones are good. They didn't die. I even tried without headphones.
Can you hear me
this
now?
Stimulating conversation for,
I know.
For your audience here.
Hi, Thomas. I'm going to say hi to Thomas. Here. I'm going to see if I can do something. Dun, dun, dun. All right, so since poor Skunk can't hear, we're going to go ahead and call it a night. He's going to tell us how we can check out Skunk Fest. So hold on, let me text him so he knows what to say because he can't hear me. Anyway, he's going to tell you how, where, and when you can come see us in Kyle at Skunk Fest. All right. We have everything at the warehouse in Kyle, Texas on Saturday, November 12th, 2022. We will have Skunk live with a good Rogering, and we will also have Jared James Nichols, Chris Duarte Group, Stony Curtis Band, Jelly Ellington, Eth Isba, Finite Fidelity, Bobby Bookout, Head Rush, Kraevin Thorne, Darren Lane, Susanna Lee, Natalie Price, Ethan Smith, Tyner Alfers, and of course, like I said, a good Rogering. They're going to have some amazing sponsors there. It's going to be a great event. It starts at noon at the Rail House in Kyle. So make sure you go find Skunk Fest. There's an event on Facebook. Make sure you like and share a good Rogering and the Invisible Czars. And Skunk, go ahead and say good night to all our wonderful people. Thank you for watching Late Nights at Kraevin with Kraevin. And you You guys, fuck technology. You guys rock. And thank you for watching Kraevin. And make sure you tune in on Sunday because we're going to have another amazing band here on Late Nights with Kraevin. We're going to have Rizamata will be in the house. So I'm going to play a feature for Rizamata. And you guys, thank you for watching Late Nights with Kraevin. Bye.